Let's talk about America's team, Broncos country. I'm not talking about the Dallas Cowboys, though. I'm talking about the real America's team, the Denver Broncos, because that win yesterday was exceptional. Welcome in, Broncos country, to the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. You can call me Moose. And I'm not going to lie to you, I got chills this morning thinking about the Broncos. And it's not just because it's freezing cold here in Studio M at the Chat Sports studio office. Nope. It is because I woke up today and I realized something about the Broncos. This could be the most talented roster in the entire NFL. We're going to break down what we saw yesterday, but also what this means going forward now that we finally saw the offense click. Before we do that, help us get to 46,000 subscribers here on the channel. We got really, really close yesterday. Shout out to everybody that showed up for our watch party, but we need 206 loyal Broncos fans who love engaging, fresh Denver Broncos content to hit that subscribe button. So let's talk about the injuries first. Before we break down all the great stuff, there are two major injuries that I'm sure every single Broncos fan really wants to know about. The first one being the most important one, and that's Pat Surtain. Obviously, he went down with that little knee injury, came back into the game, and then hurt his shoulder, but did come in for one play, and then they finally decided, you know what, we're just going to sideline him for the rest of the game. I do think it was more precautionary than anything. We will update you, obviously, though, as that comes along. Now, Marvin Mims, same thing. He was unable to meet with the media due to the concussion protocol that he was in. This is probably more of a concern in terms of, like, will he play next game or will they keep him out next game? Obviously, like I said, we'll check on these later this week. We shouldn't see any huge updates coming forward, at least not at the time of this recording, until later on today or heading into early tomorrow. But let's talk about what we saw yesterday. Three major things stood out to me after watching the Broncos-Cowboys game. Maybe it's different for you, but this is what Moose saw. Bo and Sean finally put it together. We talked all last week about the lack of stretching the ball down the field. Part of that was because Bo Nix wasn't completing passes down the field. He wasn't accurate enough. Part of it was Sean Payton's play calling. This is what Bo's passing chart looked like, by the way, against the Cowboys. Do you notice something? And this is great stuff. There's so much less green at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. Look at all the green that is around the 10-yard mark, past the 10-yard mark, and even the incompletions where Bo is still stretching the ball down the field. It was just really good quarterback play. And we talked about letting Bo loose. That was my ultimate message to Sean Payton. You don't have to get away from the screens entirely. You just got to let Bo throw the ball down the field. Let him unlock that middle of the field. And clearly, it clicked and it worked. And if you don't believe me that I was saying this last week, if you think, well, Moose is being a Monday morning quarterback, nope, this was last week. And look at me with my eyes closed right there. I look like a schmuck, but look, let's be honest. This is what I was telling you guys last week. The offensive needs was to shy away from the screen, take calculated shots down the field. And it worked. You baited him with the run, you exploited him with the run, you carved him up with the run, and then Bo, let it loose. That layered ball to Courtland Sutton in the third quarter, where Bo just dumps it into the breadbasket, was one of the best throws I've ever seen him make. It was awesome. From start to finish. Zach Stevens also said the same thing. Let's talk a little bit about Sean Payton here. That Sean Payton was the most confident he's ever seen. Zach saying this about Sean. He was the most confident he's ever seen Sean Payton at the podium for the Broncos. It's finally because, like I said, Sean's vision for the game was, okay, we're going to take some shots. We're going to let Bo go against a really bad defense. And it worked. This is what head coaches want to see. They want to see that I can open the playbook a little bit and let you just kind of make plays rather than trying to stick to the, death by 1,000 cuts game plan, which is what Sean's been trying to do because Bo is really accurate at the line of scrimmage and behind it, but hasn't been so accurate down the field. So it's been more like the only way we're going to put points on the board is if, we have these 13 or 14 play drives. Not yesterday. Broncos scored quick, they scored efficiently, they got off the field, and they forced the Dallas Cowboys to try to put points on the board. And by the way, in case you haven't been counting, I have. Broncos have now won 5 games in a row. So do me a favor, if you love the winning streak and you want to keep it going and you don't want to jinx it, hit that thumbs up icon. Now we're going to talk about the rest of what Moose saw and what I'm sure some Broncos fans saw as well from that game, because I do believe this team can be a Super Bowl contender. Now before I do that, I got to tell you about one of my favorite sponsors on the show, and that is our friends over at Harry's. As literally the hairiest guy you know, trust me, my back has 5 o'clock shadow right now after I just shaved it a couple of days ago. Harry's is the product that I trust most when it comes to my personal grooming habits. Did your old razor dull way too quickly? Did it irritate your neck? Did they cost way too much? $30 for 8 refills, total scam. Harry's Plus has an advanced pivoting system now that is designed to reach every corner of your face. Refined blade technology for a closer, smoother shave and weighted metal handle. I absolutely love Harry's. But with Harry's Plus, you also get a barbershop quality shave with German engineered blades. Each blade is honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly at the root without tugging. Why pay $30 for refills when Harry's can give you better blades for a fraction of the cost? They've launched their most advanced razor ever, and it is still cheaper than the Gillette Fusion 5. For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shaving gel, and travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head on over to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer. After you purchase, they're going to say, "Where'd you hear about us?" Please support our show and say, "Moose, that hairy guy over from Broncos Breakdown, sent us." All right, the next thing to talk about here for the Denver Broncos. RJ Harvey, welcome to the NFL, my friend. That was a performance from a rookie, no doubt. And one of the looming questions in the back of my mind, not necessarily is, when is RJ Harvey going to pop? But it was more so like, are they using him the way that they should be? Because it's a lot of J.K. Dobbins, and then they do this swing thing with R.J. Harvey. A lot of swing passes to R.J. Harvey in the flat. They try to get the ball in his hands so he can create. But yesterday really felt like, hey, we're going to design runs for you to exploit these holes. And again, the Dallas Cowboys running defense was awful. But I think you saw when he got the ball in his hands and when he has space to make things happen, he is ridiculous. He's officially your Joker, by the way. He reminds me of Alvin Kamara. Excuse me. He does. He's got so much better hands than I originally thought. When he's in open space, his burst and his bend are incredible to watch. He's not the perfect product quite yet, right? He doesn't have the north to south power that somebody like J.K. Dobbins has. He's not as good in pass pro as J.K. Dobbins is. But when you get the ball in this kid's hand, his bend, his ability to get around defenders, and his burst, like he would like have that little patience movement where he'd get out, he'd find his hole, and then it was straight into it. It was insane to watch. And finding the end zone 3 times, that's not just a scheme thing. That's an RJ Harvey thing. So you absolutely have to give him credit where credit is due. It was by far his best game as a professional football player. And then I also want to give a quick little sidebar to J.K. Dobbins, who had the hardest line of the entire postgame. I thought this was like run through a brick wall mentality. J.K. Dobbins said, "Maybe I was born to be a Bronco." Doesn't that just like fire you up? It fired me up. I thought it was awesome. This is the best Broncos running attack I have seen in quite some time. And I know that there were a lot of fans that were really upset to see Javonte Williams go. And I know that he was Sean Payton's guy. And I realized that, like, hey, look, every single fan out there wants to see their hometown guys do the very, very best. But the fact of the matter is that this was necessary for the Broncos running game to get elevated. You needed to draft RJ Harvey, and you needed to sign a player like J.K. Dobbins, whose upside has been the highest of any running back in the NFL. The only issue has been the injuries. That's it. Which means my impressed level with the Denver Broncos run game is at like a 4.5. The only reason I can't give it a 5 out of 5 is because we have seen in the first half it struggled to get going. But almost every single game, the Broncos running attack in the second half and beyond has been exceptional. And yesterday, it was great all the way through. All the way through. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Scale it 1 to 5, 5 being the most, 1 being I'm not impressed at all. Last thing to talk about here. It's actually kind of a negative, but I'm going to spin it into a positive for you. We still have a drop problem. I thought the penalties got cleaned up a little bit yesterday. Obviously, there were a couple of BS calls that I didn't think went the Broncos' way, but that's a different topic for a different day. The biggest issue that I saw yesterday on offense was the drops. Let's just go look at the Broncos pass catchers real quick. Courtland Sutton officially has 2 drops. Troy Franklin only has 2 drops, and there's been way more in the season. It's just what Pro Football Reference defines as a drop, which is probably the most trusted statistical site for the NFL. They only list him as 2. I actually think it's more like 4 or 5. Marvin Mims has officially 1, and Evan Ingram officially has 3. So you could see through the 4 main pass catchers on this team, there's what? 8 drops? And we've only played 8 games. So math being every single week, there's at least 1 big drop. This last game, it was Courtland Sutton in the end zone. Marvin Mims dropped the ball. Nate Adkins dropped the ball. Troy Franklin had a ball on the sidelines. Granted, tough catch, and yet failed to bring it in. These are balls that the Broncos wide receivers should have. And there's so much talent because Marvin Mims is an absolute versatile deep threat. Troy Franklin might be one of your best route runners on the team. Pat Bryant emerging as a really good player. Courtland Sutton, obviously, your number 1. And despite the drops, we almost hung 50 on the Dallas Cowboys. Terrible defense, but that's what you're supposed to do to bad defenses. It is. Holy cow, man. If you clean up the drops, if the penalties get cut in half to 3 or 4 a game, there is not a single team in this league that can compete with you. Flat out. That is a Super Bowl caliber team, if I've ever seen one, no doubt. I want to end today's episode by still giving you the narrative that this team can win a Super Bowl, but it also has nothing to do with the X's and the O's. Here was Riley Moss at the very end of the game. Look at the shirt that he's wearing. Nick Benito. Look at Alex Singleton. Look at the shirt he's wearing. Pat Surtain. This might seem a little innocuous to you. It might seem like it doesn't really matter. It might not seem like a big storyline. And it's never going to ever make the headlines outside of Broncos media. But these guys love each other. This is a family. It's a Broncos cohesive brotherhood that Sean Payton has cultivated. He has preached to these men that this is the best team in the NFL. They believe it. They support each other. And that's not something you see in an NFL locker room. That's indicative of college football. But in the NFL, these are professionals. These are guys with their own brand deals, endorsement deals. It's their jobs to go out and do this. And to see the kind of cohesiveness that these players have now, it is a rare sight. It is a rare spectacle. And I honestly believe that if this continues, if we don't have any injuries, if we continue to play buttoned up 3-phase football, this team can win the big one. Period. Mic stamp, drop it, whatever you want to say. Make sure you help us get to 46,000. I'm going to come back with you a little bit later on today with a little bit more statistical stuff to talk about, a little bit more X's and O's stuff, which I know you guys appreciate. Until later today, remember, mile high salute, my friends. Be cool.